In some of the videos, I talked a little bit about people to apply and get jobs in the federal government. But today I'm here with a specific type of job so that you know if you qualify, you can be able to apply. And this is becoming the diplomat in the United States. What are the ways of someone becoming foreign service officer in the United States? What are the qualifications? Secondly, what are the steps you need to take? And most important, how much money diplomats make? And above all, I know if you are an immigrant, you came here in America, the question you are having yourself, do I qualify as immigrant to apply for the federal government jobs, but most important, to work as diplomat for the US government? I know the procedures. I know the steps. Most of these steps I've gone through. So I'm going to talk to you by experience and by going these kind of processes and what you need to do in order for you also to do everything to become the foreign service officer in the United States government. Welcome everyone. My name is Ernest Boniface Makurido EBM. In case today is your first time, this is a special channel where we talk about, different ways someone can come to America or go to Europe legally, as how you can be over there and excel, not just become a normal immigrant ending up your entire life with so much troubles, but how you can be able to contribute to the country you are, be a positive change, and also help your family and the community and the country at large. So this is the channel. In case you haven't subscribed, please do so. So as I mentioned, today I'm going to talk about, here I have my computer here. I've just I have some of the steps and everything you need to know about becoming the foreign service officer, or rather we call diplomat. So there are categories. There are 5 different categories. Of all these are the ways of becoming diplomat. Because once you become a diplomat, it's not like you do everything on your own. No, there are categories, what kind of jobs you will be doing. So the most famous one we know is becoming a consular officer. Consular are the one who are working on the visas, are the one taking care of American citizens abroad. If they are in trouble, you get by the police, or there is a funeral or something like that, they are the one responsible for that. Then there are economic officers, another category. They are dealing with the trades and all other things. Then there is management officers. There are those dealing with, we call political officers, and the public diplomats officers. So there are 5 categories of officers or foreign service officers, or rather diplomats. So either of those, there are categories like, okay, if you have this kind of background, this might be your best fit, and I'll share the website where you'll be able to go, and you can even test yourself. There are a couple questions, you can answer those kind of questions. So if you answer those kind of questions, they can determine to you where will be your top 2, maybe top 2 fit. When I took this test, for me, most of the areas, it came to political officers and the consular officers, because they ask you various questions. What do you like to do, like in this scenario, whatever? So then they determine, based on those one, these are the kind of jobs you'll be able to do. So the first thing for yourself is to know what kind of things you'll be able to do. But the most important thing, you must be a US citizen in order to work as a diplomat, because in the end you'll be given clearance, and you cannot be given the clearance if you are a citizen of another country. So if you have been here, you came here as immigrant, yes, this is one of the way. Once you become an American citizen, think about becoming diplomat. And I'll tell you why. By having your background from another country is very, very helpful to the US government. I will tell you some of the languages where you'll be able to get some extra points to become diplomat, but also some extra money will get paid just by knowing other languages. So that is something you need to know about that. So apart from language, apart from citizenship as a requirement, there is no substitute for that. Then you have to choose, obviously, the career track. Which one do you prefer? And then the other thing which is very, very important is about age limitation. The age, you must be above 20 and not minimum 20 years old, going to 21 that way, and not exceeding 59 years old. So any age you can be able to apply. But the good thing about this one, the education requirement, you can be high school, you can be having PhD. They don't care. So you can apply with just a bachelor degree. You can apply while you have community associate degree, community college education. Even with high school, with other work experience, you can apply. So once you apply, obviously you will qualify. Then you are going to be taken to the second step, which is to take the Foreign Service Officer Test, FSOT. There is an exam you have to take. It is a very, very tough exam. Usually there are so many things we are not supposed to talk too much detail about the test, but the test is going to test English, is testing about general knowledge. It's not going to test you about so much about intelligence. And there are, in the Department of State website, you can be able to go there and be able to see some of the examples of the test. You can be able to test yourself. They have everything for free. You can be able to do that. So you take the test about geography, world history, about whatever economy of the world, about sports. It's just overall everything in everywhere. They will be able to ask you those kind of questions. Then from there, then if you get the percentile they are supposed to have, which is I think 153, if not 154. If you have that one percentile, then you are going to be invited to write essays. But nowadays they want people to write essays before you take the test. But whatever the case, you have to write the essays, and then you are going for the interview. If you pass the interview, the next process is the clearance. They do medical clearance and security clearance, and then you are starting the jobs. You can go start your job. So you are going to be allocated. You are going for the special school, Foreign Services School, which is in Washington, D.C. Then you can be able to start your job. But how do these people make? I'm going to say in highlight, but I'm going to show you on the screen what do they do, how much do they get paid. But the payment is divided in so many categories. Number one, obviously you'll be paid your salary. The salary cannot be too much sometimes, depending on the education and work experience, but can be maybe 50,000, 60,000 per year. But don't just, 50,000, that is a small amount of money for my life. Remember, you are given 50,000 or 60,000 and you live in overseas. Where you live in overseas, the house you stay is paid. You don't pay rent over there. So it's a full house, full furnished house. Everything is inside the house. And if not mistaken, the bill for electricity, gas for cooking, water is already taken care of. So how much money are you going to save by getting that kind of apartment and you don't need to pay anything? So add that one in top of your salary, just like this is another bonus you get from there. Apart from that, you are given hardship pay. Wherever you are, it goes up to 20%, sometimes up to 35%, depending. So that is going to be added. Almost all countries, they have hardship pay. I will go to show on the screen which one have higher, which one don't have higher. Then, apart from that, you are going to add, for your kids, they are going to international school, paid for. You don't need to pay anything. When you travel to go to overseas, everything will be paid for relocation. So there are so many things attached to this one. So if you come to put it in terms of money, is minimum, you are going to get 100,000 and above. That will be a minimum. So this is a very good way. And as I said, most of these one you can get even if you have high school education. So this is one of the best way on how you can be able to join and start the career as diplomat in the US. And the exams are in three times in a year. There is February, June, and October. If you take the example in February, and you don't get it, that means you cannot retake the exam until after 1 year. So you can be allowed to take maybe in February next year or June or whatever. So the year you're taking the exam, so you need to prepare a lot. Many people, they don't go through that exam. I've done this exam twice. One time I missed 14, and another time I missed, it was like less than 5 score, whatever, a couple years ago. Yeah, before I started my this current job. So this is things which you need to know. I'm going to share with you in detail my screen and show you step by step on how you can be able to become a diplomat in the US and why this one is a good fit. So once you are becoming a US citizen, if you're immigrant or even if you are not immigrant, you are born here, please don't just settle. Find different ways on how you can be able to excel in America. So join with me on my screen here on the second part of this video, showing you everything on my screen. Remember to subscribe, everyone. Welcome again, everyone. So as you can see here on my screen, these are 80 steps to becoming a foreign service officer. By saying foreign service officer becoming, it means is steps of becoming diplomat. So these are the steps which I've been talking about. I'm going to share with you and show you these steps which I've been just mentioning them. And also I'm going to show you the career tracks and what does that mean, what kind of each career you can be able to choose. And once you choose one career, at the time of application, if you go through, it will be very, very difficult and complicated process to change from one career track to another career track. Means it will be difficult to move from becoming consular, and if you want to move to become maybe public, political, let's say political officer. And then I'm going to share with you the salary and the actual updates about the actual salary and the benefits I've been able to mention on that. And all these are into part of the bigger website of the Department of State. If you go to the Department of State website and you come available jobs, there will be the Foreign Service Officer, which is this one. So the exams for this time, it will be end of May to June 6th. But I don't know whether for this year it will be able to happen because of the COVID-19. But basically what happens is each year the exam is in February, end of January, February, end of May, June, and October. So if, let's say you take the exam maybe on June 5th, and then you don't pass, the only time you'll be allowed to take the exam is after 12 months, after 1 year, you can be able to take the exam. So the registration deadline is on this day. So that is, if you can come and you'll be able to register for the test. So there is a situation where because of the COVID-19, there will be all these kind of things which will make difficulty for some of the registration. So let's forget about the test at the moment. Let's go to, first of all, in order to join, you need to choose what career track you want. As I mentioned, there are these career tracks. Number one is consular. Consular are the one who are dealing with the giving visas, helping with the adoption, to evacuate Americans, or if there is a human trafficking case. So all those one are the one dealing with Americans in that particular country where you are operating. Then there is economic officers. These are the one working with other agencies, technology, economic trade, in that particular country. Management officers, these are dealing with the overall operations of the embassy, budget and everything, all the operations. Then political officers, these are the one working to negotiate, working with the government in that particular country. I remember when I applied for the foreign service officers, they said I took exam 2 times already, but I didn't get the required scores. What I chose to be political officer because my background is political science, and I thought this one will be more to me than just consular. But when I took the test, like myself, to measure myself, which one I qualify more, it was political officer and the consular officer. And then there is public diplomats, so dealing with the government officials, anything about civil society in that particular country, academics. So that is just the overall public image of the embassy.
So it's just like to talk to the media and all other things. So those are one, you have to choose what career track do you want to choose. So if you come here, you can see which career track is easier for you. So that means when I say there are questions here. So these questions they ask you, work extra hours. So for instance, we say very interested. So I'm giving an example. Let's say like uninterested. So depending, so the way you answer these kind of questions, so let's say if you answer these questions, so maybe neutral. I'm giving example. I'm not just answering, but for you on your case, you'll be able to answer depending what you prefer, what you don't like. Okay. So depending on, I want to just quickly show how does this one work. So when you put this one, it will end. So these are various questions, and they are not academic questions. Is what do you prefer more? Do you prefer use the languages? Do you prefer these kind of things? So I'm just putting just some will leave neutral, some whatever. There are a lot of questions. So some will be neutral. So I'm giving example. So then you submit a quiz. When you submit a quiz, it will tell you, based on the mark, the score you are given, yours is scored on Consular is scored 60, economic 78, management track is 72, political 60, public diplomacy is this one. So based on this one, so basically they can tell you which one you prefer, I mean, which will be better. So maybe on this way will be economic, for instance, management, public diplomacy. Those will be the top 3 on your end, and then they will tell you what does that mean. So, but you have to take this test very, very seriously, and you answer truthful what you like, or you can be able to do that. So that is one of the things you needed to consider. So, oh, sorry. Okay. Then from there we come to these the steps. The steps is mentioned. First of all, you choose career track. Remember, once you selecting this one is a very important decision, because as you may not change career tracks once you choose the track during the registration for the Foreign Service Officer test. Once you register for this test, you cannot be able to choose to change, because they will select you directly to become consular or economic officer, management. So then you register for the test. But now, starting from January, it will be you submit the what they call personal 6 narratives when you're registering for the test. It used to be when you register, you don't submit anything, you just register whatever. But now from this year 2020, they started you are answering these essays. This is 6 personal narratives. It used to be you are submitting on step number 4, but now they are putting on step number 2, and this one will reduce the number of people who are not serious to go to take the test. Also to ease in the quicker process of people to after the test, you get the test, you take the test, step number 3, then they are looking for your qualification, then their evaluation, that one they will call for the if you are going to be selected, you are going to be for the oral assessment, which is the interview. The interview will be in DC, the full day of interview, and that same day they will give you the results whether you have got it or not. If you get it, you are doing the clearance, which is medical and security, and then you can be able to go for the further processes to process on waiting to start your job, basically. So how much is the salary do you make for these for diplomats? So as I mentioned, so this is someone's blog. This person has worked as a foreign service officer before, so usually updates this one. So usually there is categories, but in general, forget about these steps at this point. What matters is if you don't have a bachelor degree, what number of years you have with experience-wise. what step are you going to start? So no matter what, minimum you will start with 30,000 if you don't have bachelor degree, for instance. But people with bachelor degree will start with 50, going to masters in 60 something, around that. But that is number one. So, and they give the example, this person with master's degree with 2 years of work experience is starting as foreign service pay, FP5, step 5 to 10 between that way. So that means this person, let me put it into the bigger. This person, I mean, in this case, they are calling will be Sarah, is starting with 69,000. That will be the salary because they are putting the salary and they match with her current salary of that. Then, so these are the steps which I'll put the link on this particular video. You can be able to see in detail. So the original salary was supposed to be based, was supposed to be this one, but they matched with her salary because on her current job she gets 60 something thousand, so they give that one. So this is the FP5 step 7, which was 56,297. But Sarah current salary is 69. So because of the loss of this amount, so the Department of State, they are going to match that salary. So if they match the salary, she's going to start with 69,000. So that is the salary she will be able to, I mean, they are going to put it like a step whatever, 67 something. So this is the one they are explaining. So if you go to read this one, it will give you all the sense. Then they are talking about promotion, after how long you will be getting promotion. So forget about that one. So apart from that, what other important things you need to consider? There is a danger pay allowance, but this is not for all areas. They have danger pay depending on the where are you located, which kind of station are you stationed. So for instance, these are the danger pay. For instance, they give you example: Pakistan, you get 35%. Iraq 35%, another place 35% in Libya, Mali 25, Burkina Faso 15, Central Republic 35. So on top of your salary, they give you a certain percent on top of that. So they say if Sarah was stationed in Nicaragua, so Nicaragua danger pay is 15%. So you can go and just go to see. So Nicaragua is 15%. So they give the example. Sarah got 15%. So 15% of this one up to 15, whatever it comes to. So you keep adding. So there is danger pay depending on where you are stationed. But also, there are other kind of pay you get. There is a hardship allowance. So almost everybody gets hardship allowance. Obviously, you are not in the US, so you are not going to the Walmart, you are not going to Target, you are not going to Starbucks. So obviously, they give you a little bit more of the hardship post allowance. So that one, depending, is up to 20%. Sometimes you get that one. Then so you add this amount. So here it is a map of all countries with the hardship pay. So the country with it very, very hard, almost all countries except the US and a few countries, but all countries in the world, they have certain amount of hardship. Some is 0, obviously. Some is like 10%. So if you are in Tanzania, it's 25%. If you are in Angola, 25%. If you're in Sudan, 25%. Chad, 35%. Afghanistan, 35%. So most of the countries you get something. If you're in Kenya, is 20%. Tanzania, 25%. Mozambique, 25%. So this Madagascar is 25%. So Australia, obviously, most of the countries with the Western sense is just Canada is 0. So you see how much money is going. So that is, you are going to add on top of that. Then on top of that, there is cost of living adjustment, cost of living allowance, which is called the COLA. So this one, it depends on the difference. They're going to put the calculation. Then you get a certain allowance. They are going to match. On top of that, you are given free housing to live. So these are different COLA allowance. For instance, if you are in Tanzania, you get 15% of COLA, you get 25% of hardship pay, and then you get free housing, then your kids are getting paid, their school is getting, their kids' school is paid for. So they're showing COLA, hardship pay, and then this is the sum. So this is the basic salary. The overseas pay, so they just match whatever it went to this one. But because it was in the place where there's no danger pay, but let's say if the person was in danger pay, you could give that one. Then there's hardships, 20% of this salary. So is this one. Then there is COLA, so it was this one. So if you add, this is amount of the person will be getting, for instance, for this person. On top of that, you get free housing. So you don't need to pay for the housing. And so these are some of the posts in the other areas. So in the end, you get more than 100,000 per year. So that is a very good money. And you live overseas. Cost of living is small compared to the US. So that is how you can be able to suffer. So this is just, they put like overall how much you'll be able to make if you become a foreign service officer. As I said, this is one of the jobs. There are other jobs, but you can work at the embassy, and there are, I will talk about it. There are different ways on working at the embassy. There is a foreign service consular fellow program, is a different one. There are other ways of working as civil service at the embassy. So those are things which are different. You can work at the embassy on different capacities. Yeah, but you can, it's not necessarily different from becoming direct foreign service officer as diplomat. But the biggest one is the exam. So the exam, so let me give, so there is this, the exam. So you can, if you want, I will put the link here. You can be able to see what kind of questions, what things you need to prepare yourself to prepare. What can you be able to find? How many times can person? There is no limit, but one can wait for 12 months for if you fail, you get one test, and then you have to find another test. So yeah, so there is a practice test online. You can be able to see. So Department of State, they put, if you click here, you can be able to get official test. Like it is just with the time and everything, and it's all free. You can be able to practice that. Okay, FSOT sample questions. So let me show you some of the questions. So the questions are in different categories. Okay, let me find some of the questions. Okay, so there are questions about geography, about everything. You can be able to, okay, so yeah, so I will put in some of these tests. You can be able to find out. There are books, there are so many things about this kind of test. You can be able to find this information and to be able to, you can get a flashcard. I mean, there are so many things you can be able to practice with and be able to succeed. And you have to prepare a little bit longer than just, so there are these kind of questions like, these are some of the questions. So there are questions which is not about what you have studied, what does the 14th Amendment mean, like, so there are so many questions you need to know, and some they are USC history, some they are about sports, some about movies, some about everything, English, about you name it. So there are so many ways you can be able to do. So these are the exams, the steps, and how you can become a consular officer, if you want to become public officer, if you want to be any part of this kind of becoming diplomat. As long as you have to make sure that you study hard to pass that test. That is the biggest way on how they are going to screen people to use the number of people. Apart from that, You don't need to have a lot of degrees, as long as you are above 20 years old, and the maximum is 59 years old. So you can apply at any time. The longer you have experience, the better. You are a veteran, you get more points. You speak a different language, you get more points. So those are very, very helpful. So if you are immigrant, for instance, this is a very good opportunity for you to be able to save the US government in the front, in the embassy, and to be able to support the country. So thank you everyone. If you have any question, let me know. Okay, goodbye everyone.